This is very much about you. This is really the key unfolding of this conference, is about creating a container for our community to really thrive together, to discuss, to ideate, to come together around really challenging obstacles, to move towards the discomfort that we face within the sectors that we work within. We ask certain key questions. Those questions, every single one of you have been seen, and every single one of you has turned into a little post-it note, and in a good way, because we then looked at a trending analysis to see really what's here, what's at the essence. And we did that before the conference as well, to understand what is at the pulse of the community's needs, and then therefore created the conference based on that. What we have here is we have some of the most incredible professors, some of the most incredible neuroscientists and scientists studying the applications of mindfulness in society. And we've got programs that have been formed here that are regarded and noted all around the world in regards to the potency of creating powerful facilitators utilizing this type of training.
For the first time in the West, we now have a kind of a language and conceptual framework within which we understand how, we can tap into the mind's own healing power.
Mindfulness is not the destination. It's not where we're going, but it's how we'll get there. And perhaps we won't confuse the artifacts or the output of the work with the practice or the process itself.
At this point, much of the findings that we have are pretty basic. It's pre and post and effects. At this stage, I don't think there is enough evidence to suggest how we understand the mechanisms by which these kind of effects are taking place. There's a kind of overselling of it, which could, in the end up undermining the whole movement itself.
If you look at hypertension, diabetes, depression, asthma, arthritis, panic disorder, these are chronic and recurrent disorders. These are not one and done type of experiences where if you can only figure it out the first time, you're never going to run into this again. Rather than focusing exclusively on medication, on surgery, or other kinds of physical interventions, the kinds of things you can do for yourself behaviorally can impact on the likelihood of recurrence. And meditation fits in to this increasing awareness that taking some care of yourself in these specifically personalized ways can improve health, can improve well-being.
The word mind then is used by people who don't define it intentionally, and the scientists who study the mind say we use the word as a placeholder for the unknown. That's why we're spending our lives studying it. But if you're going to be a teacher of mindfulness in a company, or if you're going to be a teacher of mindfulness in a school, or you're going to be a teacher of mindfulness for therapists, or other clinicians, or you're going to be a teacher of mindfulness for families, we need to take the bold step of defining the mind. That across the planet we have a word we use, and yet for some reason our academic disciplines and our clinical disciplines have just not defined what it is we're talking about. And I think it's limited us even in understanding the meaning of mindfulness.
Community is really the pillar of this event. It's what makes it happen. We deployed some really novel methodologies being utilized by a lot of tech companies right now to create a thriving collaboration around deep challenges. It's called design thinking. We had a full range of attendees from teachers, principals, to psychologists, psychiatrists, MDs, to also workplace professionals.
Design is completely based on listening. It's completely based on empathy. And what I'm about to tell you is it's also based on mindfulness. And now that's not something I say at a design conference, but it's true. Both in its absolute requirement of listening, but also in its ability to kind of be in the present moment and not in the future and not in the past. And what that means in the context of design is not in the preconceived ideas about the problem space you're designing for, and not in the potential gains if you design something profitable, or the potential impact or the potential problems. But here,
we had, lawyers speaking with educators, and we had educators speaking with psychologists, and we had the neuroscientists mixing with the compassion and the contemplative professionals. And every single person in this conference had a chance to contribute to an actionable solution. It's really incredible in the breakout discussion groups that we've had, and how we really curated the questions, how we looked through all the registrants' information that they shared with us, that we really systematically and meticulously selected these questions to ask them, and then formed the intentions of the conference based on those questions. And we're really excited to articulate, to gather that, and then to be able to release that over this next year to inform the community, and then to create the new intentions for the next conference, and then the next, and the next.
So this is an inflection point in the conference, transitioning from talking about why we don't have a mindful society to what would it look like if we did have a mindful society. And this will set the stage for your breakout session.
What would a mindful society look like? For me, it's not so much what the end result would be, but I would conceptualize more in terms of how differently we would do things. It would be very difficult to imagine a mindful society where the onus is just left on the individual. Because, we look at yoga movement, we look at health movements. There is enough public knowledge out there that exercise is good for you. There's enough public knowledge out there that the yoga stretches are helpful to you, especially as you age. But that awareness doesn't translate into everybody taking up exercises, everybody taking up yoga. So we shouldn't have any illusion that mindfulness is going to be something different. Why would someone take mindfulness more seriously as opposed to physical exercise?
I absolutely believe that this will transform the way in which we conduct ourselves, not just in business, but in politics. You guys are really pioneering here. You have to walk the talk. A great temptation to turn this mindfulness movement into something very trivial. But then it's a challenge to each of us to be thoughtful about being genuine to what it means to be mindful, right?
I believe that in order for mindfulness revolution to move on to this next step, once all the dust settles, once all the hype is gone, once the serious people are still hanging in there to make a real difference, I think there, bringing in compassion is going to be a key.
And I've listened over the last few days just simply to the discussions around the outcomes and about what meditation is and isn't. And my vision is very much what Jimpa's vision is, but I also know that I needed the scientists and I needed the Buddhists and the Christian contemplatives amongst us, because my life work has been looking at what core human spirituality is. And after 30 years of practice as a theologian, but I'm becoming a social worker to bring change, I discovered that I think the core thing is that we suffer.
I'm really hoping that these past few days have been a wonderful experience for you, and that the ideas that you've heard have inspired you, and the differences of opinion you're able to hold and work with that complexity. And I'm hoping that whatever resonates with you today, you'll take forward and play an important role in your communities and in your life to expand mindfulness and the culture of mindfulness.
The mindfulness movement is growing at such a rapid pace right now, and to be on the cutting edge of the applications that are moving throughout this world, the evidence base that is arising, the science really about what impact does this training provide to others, then this is the place to be. This conference where we bring together the leading edge thinkers, where we bring in together this community that really thrives and hives together, that engages together, is what really makes it come to life and what brings mindfulness to the world. So come and join us.
the cameo performance
Yeah.
that you weren't thinking about. It's been the most incredible weekend thanks to Michael Apollo, the council chair. So none other than thank you.
Thank you.